I was right. I knew it. I knew when I was walking into that theater. Something inside told me, John, your predictions are right. What is going on, Solo fam? My name is John Solo, and if you can't tell, I'm incredibly excited because I saw Incredibles 2 on Monday, and today I get to share my thoughts. If you haven't seen it yet, don't worry, I'll give you plenty of warning before we get into the spoilers. Let's start with my initial thoughts. What was going through my head when I left that theater? To be honest, almost nothing but positives. I thought the story was fantastic, the animation was truly gorgeous, and that for the first time in I don't know how long, we might have a sequel that's better than the original. I don't want to hype it up too much, but that's really how I felt. I don't know how you could walk out of this movie and not love it, especially for the folks who are close to my age. I'm 23 now, but I was 10 years old when The Incredibles was in theaters. Normally when I see a Pixar movie nowadays, I'm like, that was really good, and I can see why parents and kids are having a blast seeing it together, but clearly I was not the target audience, so any disconnects or problems I have with the movie are kind of expected. That wasn't the case at all with Incredibles 2. Pixar knew they were making a kids movie, but they clearly knew my generation had high hopes and expectations. So if you're a parent, aunt, uncle, etc. and are looking for something fun to do with your kiddos that you'll both enjoy, this movie was made for you. I say we move on to spoilers so we can talk details, but before some of you head out, I'm gonna ask that you smash that like button if you enjoyed this quickie review, and follow my social media to stay updated on Incredibles news and what kind of content I'm working on next. We'll give those people a few seconds to head out. In the meantime, here's Jack Jack. Let's start with the elephant in the room. I was right, for the most part. In my breakdown of the second trailer, I predicted the Devers would be the plot twist evil villains, and they might trick Void into committing some heinous crimes as well. While I was wrong about Winston, I was right about his sister Evelyn Dever, or should I say, Evil Endeavor. I feel good about that prediction, but I'll be honest, I'm getting a little sick of Disney and Pixar's plot twist evil villain in almost every single movie they do. There was Monsters Inc., Toy Story 2 and 3, Up, Coco, WALL-E, Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6, Frozen. That story mechanic is just feeling a little overused at this point, but I think that's my biggest complaint. I'll admit though, I have a few problems with the gender aspect of this movie, and I really didn't think I was going to. One thing I'm hearing a lot of reviewers point out is how female-centered this movie is. Helen is the one chosen by the Devers to be the superhero, Evelyn, the antagonist, is a female, and I'd say Violet gets a little more screen time and has more of a story than Dash. To clarify, those decisions are not what bothered me. I was happy to see them switch it up, and like I said, I loved the story. What I didn't enjoy so much was actually an Easter egg that shows up sometime later in the movie. I can't remember exactly what was happening in the scene, but I think it was when they were on the boat and broadcasting their meeting with the ambassadors. At some point on the right-hand part of the screen, we see a TV playing a commercial where a woman is helping her husband use an oven, and the commercial says, "So easy, even he can do it." Fun fact, back in the 1950s, when respect for women was basically non-existent, there were a lot of television commercials that portrayed them as straight up stupid and even talked to the female viewers like they were stupid.
I can't type. I don't take dictation. I won't sharpen pencils.
The Incredibles is clearly making a parody of these commercials. After all, it does take place in an alternate version of the 1950s or something around there, so I can see why the gender roles would be reversed in their version, especially given the movie's theme. What I don't get is if so many people agree that those commercials were insulting and condescending and disrespectful, why are we including them in a kids movie even as a joke? I get that it's supposed to be a joke, and I doubt many little kids are even gonna pick up on it, but regardless, if we all think it's a bad idea to show women and young girls media that portrays their gender as inferior, why are we doing it to boys? I wouldn't care nearly as much if Disney didn't seem to be including more and more anti-man jokes in their projects, but it just seems weird to me they're making a point to discredit men even in their advertising.
Do people assume all your problems got solved because a big strong man showed up?
Yes! What is up with that?
She is a princess!
What does that even mean? Is anyone gonna argue that Snow White and Sleeping Beauty deserve the credit for saving themselves? I don't want to get too off topic, but I consume a lot of Disney media, and this is something I've noticed becoming a trend, even in their Star Wars stuff. And to reiterate, I'm not referring to them making almost every new protagonist a female either. I'm saying there's more jokes and straight up negative comments about the male gender than ever before. I just think the female gender was unfairly discriminated against for a long time, and still is in many ways to this day. But the path to rectifying that mistake is not found by disrespecting the male gender right back. This might sound crazy, but I think it comes from everyone respecting everyone regardless of the various traits they were born with and had no control over. You probably think I'm taking the joke a little too seriously, but it sets a dangerous precedent, and if you think anyone would have allowed the opposite joke to be made with the genders reversed, you're just wrong. Everybody would be clambering to the moral high ground saying, you can't make that joke to impressionable young women, but you can to impressionable young men, right? Moving on, and out of that grave I just dug for myself, I really do think The Incredibles 2 was incredible. That joke aside, it might be my favorite Pixar movie of all time. Once it was confirmed it was going to take place just moments after the last one, I was wondering how fluid that transition was going to be, being that there was a 14-year hiatus in between films. And it turns out, pretty fluid. Sometimes when there's a long gap like that between movies, you can just feel it when you're watching. The animation is better, the voice actors might sound different, there's a whole host of factors at play. Incredibles 2 didn't feel like that at all. Visually it was significantly better, but story-wise it felt like it could have come out 3 years after the first one. Oh, and I gotta talk about Jack Jack. He steals every scene that he's in. I love how they finally expanded on his powers and explained that part of the reason he has so many is because he's a baby, but also he's pretty gifted. Also, did you hear Edna Mode say something about Mozart stimulating Jack Jack's powers? Not trying to brag, but I presented that theory almost 3 years ago. Crazy how time flies. Sometimes when there's some big-eyed cute character in a movie, especially a kids movie, filmmakers can overuse them because they know it'll get a positive reception from the audience. Again, not the case with Incredibles 2, at least not to me. This is a movie about a family of superheroes, so it makes sense for him to be around all the time and a constant concern because that's what babies are. I think this review is getting kinda long and there's a lot I haven't touched on, but you're gonna hear my opinions in future videos anyways. To summarize this review, I thought The Incredibles 2 was great. I'm not trying to overhype it, but I had pretty high expectations because The Incredibles is my favorite Pixar movie and it met all of them. If you haven't seen it yet and for some reason decided to watch this review all the way through and spoil it for yourself, I highly recommend you go see it. Go with your friends, go with your mom, take your nieces and nephews, just don't bring any babies. Like, I get it's a kids movie, but it's not a baby movie, so get a babysitter and bring your kids who will actually understand it and they'll be ecstatic. And an added bonus is that no one in the theater is gonna hate ya. If you have seen The Incredibles 2, make sure to leave a comment and tell me what you thought. Also, don't forget to hit that like button to support the channel and keep the quality content coming your way. Subscribe for weekly Disney videos and ring that bell to turn notifications on so you don't miss one. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram can be found in the description down below. Give those a follow if you want to stay updated on Incredibles news and what content I'm working on next. Thank you for watching, Solo fam. Until next time, my name is John Solo, and remember, John shot first.